Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into Lesson 1 of RB, a small light for researchers. If you're a researcher, you probably know this exact feeling. You've spent months honing your topic, your methodology is really taking shape, and you are finally ready to collect data. But then, those three dreaded letters enter the room. IRB. Oh yeah. For so many of us, the Institutional Review Board instantly triggers this wave of anxiety, right? A total sense of impending paperwork doom. Well, let's dive in and see if we can completely reframe how you look at the whole IRB process.
It always happens right as data collection approaches. Someone on your committee, or maybe a colleague, casually drops, "Hey, let's prepare the IRB submission first." And suddenly, your mind just floods. You start second-guessing absolutely everything. You wonder, wait, does a simple, anonymous survey actually need a full IRB review? Or, if I never actually meet anyone in person, and I'm just analyzing existing data, does that even count as human subjects research? The sheer volume of questions can make you feel like your project has hit an absolute brick wall before it even really began.
I want you to picture this. Think of a researcher's nighttime lab. The world is totally quiet outside, but inside your workspace, it's a completely different story. Your desk is covered, you've got your research protocol printed out, a draft of your informed consent forms sitting right there, maybe some recruitment flyers you've started designing. Everything seems perfectly prepped in the warm glow of your desk lamp. You are ready to go. But the mere mention of the IRB, it feels like someone just turned off the main power and left you trying to navigate this complex maze in complete and total darkness.
That one single sentence, "Start with the IRB," it acts like a catalyst for a storm. It's literally like hundreds of yellow sticky notes suddenly taking flight in your mind, just swirling around you. Who exactly is my target audience? How do I actually get documented consent? What do they even mean by assessing risks and benefits? Is my data storage actually safe? And then, of course, the most terrifying one of all, what if they just reject my ideas and send me a massive list of revisions? Suddenly, it feels way less like academic research and a lot more like you're studying for a legal bar exam you never signed up for.
But hey, I want to pause right here for a second with a really vital reassurance. The moment these questions start multiplying, your research hasn't stopped. Actually, it's only just beginning to come into sharp focus. This explosion of procedural doubt isn't a roadblock at all, it's a magnifying glass. By asking all these detailed questions about consent and risk and privacy, you're actually moving your research out of abstract theory and right into the reality of human interaction.
So, imagine all those scattered, chaotic sticky notes gathering together. Instead of this storm of anxiety, they start to swirl into a single golden, illuminated whirlwind. And out of the very center of that light, a guide emerges. Enter RB. RB is a small, glowing lantern, a literal light born directly from all those overwhelming questions that popped up before your IRB review. You see, RB isn't an auditor, RB isn't an interrogator. RB is the clarity that comes when you just organize those questions properly.
There's a quote here I absolutely love because it captures RB's core philosophy perfectly. RB says, "I'm not here to write the answers for you. I'm a guide who lights up your questions one by one so you can explain your own research better." I mean, how great is that? This explainer series isn't going to just fill out your forms for you because, well, every study is completely unique. Instead, we're going to illuminate the path. We're going to hold up the lantern so you can see exactly what the IRB is actually looking for, allowing you to articulate your own brilliant work safely and honestly.
And that addresses probably the biggest misconception in all of academia. Why does the IRB ask all these questions in the first place? As researchers, we are so used to having to defend our ideas. We tend to think the IRB is judging how brilliant our topic is or grading our hypotheses. But guess what? They aren't. The IRB does not care about your academic brilliance. No offense. They are solely focused on the intersection of your research idea and the participant. They just want to know how your study actually meets people out there in the real world.
Honestly, to understand the IRB, you really just need to understand the 4 core safety questions they're trying to answer. First, when this research meets a person, is the meeting safe? Second, is the consent truly informed? Like, do participants actually know enough to agree for themselves? Third, is refusal without cost? Meaning, can they just decline to participate without facing any disadvantage whatsoever? And fourth, is the data secure? Are their personal information and their responses kept safely protected? And you know what? That's it. That is the entire heart of the review.
So the absolutely crucial point here is making this fundamental shift in your mindset. You have to move away from that anxiety-inducing idea that the IRB is out there judging you, the researcher. They are not accusing you of malice. They aren't trying to discredit your academic rigor. Not at all. Instead, you need to adopt a really empathetic mindset. The IRB's questions simply force us to step out of our academic bubble for a second and really notice the participant's experience. It's all about protecting their place in your study.
And when you make that mental shift, the entire metaphor of the IRB changes. It stops being this massive, unscalable brick wall standing between you and your data collection. Instead, it becomes an order for explaining your research. Remember those sticky notes that were swirling around your head earlier? They aren't obstacles. They're actually a structured checklist. They are the exact prompts you need to make sure your research is ethically sound and really clearly communicated.
Think of it like this. A dark, imposing brick wall can be disassembled and rebuilt into an illuminated, orderly staircase, because that is what the IRB preparation process actually is. Step by step, question by question, it elevates your project. It forces you to build this incredibly sturdy foundation of ethics, taking all the chaos of your initial methodology and turning it into a structured path upward. To simplify this even further, you can actually distill that whole staircase down into just 3 actionable checkpoints. This is your concrete, human-centered starting point before you ever even touch an official form. Number 1, does my research involve people or information about people? Number 2, what will participants actually experience when they are inside my study? And number 3, do all the documents I submit, the protocol, the consent forms, the recruitment flyers, do they all describe the exact same study with a single voice? Because preparing for the IRB doesn't start with opening up some online portal and just filling in blank text boxes. It begins with looking at your study through these 3 specific lenses. You kind of have to take off your researcher hat for a minute and put on your participant hat. If you can clearly answer those 3 checkpoints, identifying the human element, walking through their exact experience, and making sure your documentation is perfectly consistent, well, you've already done the hardest part of the IRB preparation. Now, if that still feels like a whole lot to manage, take a deep breath. You really don't need to have all the answers today. Like RB says, we are walking this illuminated road together. Over the course of this explainer series, we're going to look at each marker on the path. We'll explore the research protocol, which is basically the map of your study. We'll examine the consent form, which is the language of a promise, and we'll look at recruitment materials, which are your study's first impression, step by step, lamp by lamp. I want to leave you with RB's incredibly powerful open-door metaphor. The IRB isn't a wall that blocks research. It's a door that lights the way with you, so research can meet people safely. The questions you have right now, they don't need to completely disappear for you to be successful. You just need to walk right through them. When these questions gather, your research grows much clearer, your methodology tightens up, and most importantly, your participants grow safer. RB, that little light born from your questions, is going to brighten this path for you one single step at a time. Which brings us to a provocative thought to end on today. What if the questions you are most afraid of answering right now are actually the exact ones that will make your research truly matter to the real world? Keep that in mind. In our next explainer, Lesson 2, What Does an IRB Do?, we are going to step right through that door and find out. You definitely won't want to miss it. See you then.